Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Laura Larson, Vice Chair of the Harvey Mudd College Board of Trustees. Welcome to the 66th Annual Commencement Ceremony of Harvey Mudd College. The commencement is now in session. Please remain standing for the national anthem sung by Harvey Mudd College seniors Caetano Perez Martin and Lawrence Nelson.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you. Please be seated. The ceremony this afternoon honors the students who have successfully completed a rigorous program of academic study as required by the faculty of the college. Before that, however, the graduates-to-be should recognize and honor the family and friends who've come to share this day with us. I ask the graduates to rise and turn to you with a standing ovation in appreciation for all the support they have received to make this day possible. Thank you, members of the class of 2024. Now to the main reason we are here. On Friday, the Board of Trustees received a resolution from the faculty to grant degrees to the members of the class of 2024. The board approved the resolution unanimously. I call upon Tom Donnelly, Dean of Faculty, to present the candidates.
All right, let's do this. Will the Bachelors of Science degree candidates of the class of 2024 please rise? Vice Chair, on behalf of the faculty of Harvey Mudd College, it is my great pleasure to present the candidates who have successfully completed the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Science.
Upon recommendation of the faculty and approval of the Board of Trustees of Harvey Mudd College, I hereby confer on you the degree of Bachelor of Science with all the rights, privileges, and responsibilities appertaining thereto. Now I would like to introduce Tara Brakes, Vice President of Admission and Financial Aid, who will read the names of the 2024 candidates.
All right. Dean Donnelly stole my line, but yes, let's do this. Tristan Huang. Ayman Abdelatif. Clay Chan Adams. Svetlana Altshuler. Trishan Amruther. Satvika Lalita Anand. Toby Quinn Anderson. Clifford William Ashman. Arjun Sanjay Asija. Niles Babin. Cedric Milo Venner Bainton. Cole Nagata. Raja Batra. Sophie Beckerman. Brandon James Bonifacio. Jasper Bound. Kevin James Box. Clayson Briggs. Raphael Berger. Ryan Butler. Dylan Paul Camacho. Alec Luis Clemente Candidato. Levon Capiello. James Douglas Catron. Mia Celeste. Matthew Chalk. Richard Chang. Eric Chen. Helen Chen. Holly An Chen. Jesse Chen. Carrie Chen. Megan Eun Chen. Si-Hong Chen. Rosie Chen. James Reese Clinton. Adam Cohan. Audrey Pearl Cole. Natalie Couch. Keshav Dinesh. Tanvika Dasari. Freya Schaffner Derdane. Tian Dong. Julie Julia Du. Ian Wu Duffy. Anne Margaret Elliott. Clemence Evans. Amar Faki. Ellen M. Ferranto. Cheyenne Fu. Xander Fries. Heather Fuentes. Joshua Bastian Garcia Kimball. Zoe Gomez So. Lucas Grandison. Kylie Graper. Rin Ha. Henry Hammer. Braden Renee Hedrick. William Hegstrom. Lauren Henson. Itzel Luz Hernandez. Christopher Herrera. Diego Herrera Vicioso. Isaac Hershenson. Joven Ho. Youngchan Hong. Julia Singh. Jinghan Hu. Rohan Huang. Stephanie Huang. Huang Yuyong. Amber Hughes. Patrick Hutteker. Zenev Amalie Jacotin. Joshua Jansen Montoya. Arabella Jeriel. Zhong Junju. Magdalena Jones. Anthony Mingqiu Kang. Evan Jungsung Kim. Jeremy Kim. Kevin Kim. Shadanton Kitiwurawang. Georgia Klein. Tanvi Krishnan. Mo Keen. Henry Gayu Lee. Lillian Gubin Lee. Mathis Luang Patumaram. Cecilia Lee. Megan Lee. Noah Limpert. Jayu Lin. Amy H. Liu. Jonathan Liu. H. Lore. Hannah Liu. Peter Kristen Lujak. Lucien Mallet. Allison Martin. Liam Martin. Leah McGregor. Clara McIntyre. Brian McNair. Mehek Mehra. Ariana Meinking. Arya Sai Mididadi. Kenneth Mitchell. Kanalu Monaco. Lucia Morales. Ruth E. Mueller. Felix William Murphy. Tumyet Nai. Claudia Hora Nanes. Sydney Dana Nybert. Lawrence Luke Nelson. Aiden J. Netikoven. James Nicholson. Ryan O'Hara. Liam O'Reilly. Paul Minkyun Oh. Caitlin Elizabeth Osa. Devin Daniel Overby. Jamie Pacheco. Brittany Pan. Nile Pongreker. Sachi Patel. Javier Perez. Caetano J. Perez Marchant. Kevin Fan. Catherine Phillips. Niall Charles Phillips. Sydney Porto. Joe Postauer. Eli Pragerson. Avery Colin Pritchard. Krishna Rajesh. Christopher Ranlett. Clay Chandler Rasmussen. Thaja Reddy. Elijah Rato. Thea Ribeiro. Kate Lauren Riggs. Sydney Camille Riley. Andres Rivas. Alec Robertson. Fontaine L. Rosa. Natasha Truchard Rothstein. Cassandra Rudy. Jocelyn Sabin. Vani B. Sachdev. Andres Sanchez. Carlos Santiago Sanchez. Jessica Santosa. Eli Schwartz. Manjari Senthilkumar. Limnantes Neve Serafini. Connor Kazuo Ming Sito. Ash Shaw. Zile Shao. Karen Snyder. Vivian Kezia Solomon. Ink Socharoon. Kevin Song. Abigail Steele. Luke Stemple. Jordan Lawrence Stone. Aiden D. Stone Grijalva. Martin Susanto. Joel Tan Aristi. Nicholas Tikeli. Peyton Tenike. Annabelle Tang. Dylan Tran. Allison Zoe Ann Tsai. Kaylee Zuen Tsai. Lucian Tsai. Wanju Tsai. Mukta Ubale. Chard Van Lobensels. Rebecca Verghese. Juan Shuze. Charles Arthur Weissman. Emily Weiss. Simon Thomas Woodside. Alexa Wright. Francine Ruth Wright. Eridus Young. Johnny Yang. Kelly Yang. William Yang. Allison Han Yao. William Yick. Olivia Yin. Robin Yu. Amy Yuan. Matea Jean Zelich. Xiaobei Emma Zhang. Gabriel Evan Zwillinger. Congratulations to the HMC class of 2024.
Congratulations once again. We'll now award the Henry T. Mudd Prize. In 1992, the college began a tradition during commencement of recognizing an individual who's contributed greatly to the generations of students and to Harvey Mudd College. The first recipient of the Henry T. Mudd Prize was President Emeritus, Professor Emeritus, and Trustee Emeritus Joseph Platt. By tradition, the selection of the awardee is done in secret, and the recipient is not informed until commencement. This year, we will acknowledge the extraordinary contributions of 2 members of our community. Each honoree will receive a $6,000 award, $3,000 of which is designated for use within the college at the discretion of the awardee. The first citation reads, "For her outstanding service to Harvey Mudd College and to our students for nearly 24 years, during which she has served with excellence, compassion, and grace, for her dedication first and foremost to our students, working tirelessly to ensure student success, confidence, and joy in learning, for her unwavering commitment to our faculty, building collegial relationships, mentoring and supporting curricular development and interdisciplinary collaboration, for her innate ability to create community, fostering dialogue and understanding and creating space for faculty development and pedagogical discussion, for her work in creating and maintaining Writ 1, the college's interdisciplinary writing course, bringing together faculty from every department to teach writing to every first-year student, building a rich foundation of shared language and creating a community of scholars who can confidently defend intellectual claims, for her leadership of the Writing Center, training student staff and creating a safe, welcoming space for students to share vulnerability, receive constructive feedback, and develop their skills in writing and communication, for her sensitive and perceptive leadership of the college's academic excellence program,
training student tutors to run workshops and teach problem solving and collaborative learning strategies, all while empowering students to see and value their own academic growth in and out of the classroom. Wendy Menifee-Libby, Senior Director of Learning Programs, is hereby designated as a 2024 recipient of the Henry T. Mudd Prize. Wendy, will you please come to the podium? Wendy, will you please come to the podium?
Wow. This is about all of you. This is not so much about me. This has been the thrill of a lifetime. I feel like I've gotten away with something, so thank you all.
The second citation reads, "For his exemplary service to Harvey Mudd College and to our students for 25 years, during which he served with dedication, enthusiasm, kindness, and collegiality. For his passion for teaching, educating nearly every student in their first year, and for his extraordinary flexibility in teaching students in multiple time zones during the 2020-2021 academic year, for his focus on student success in and out of the classroom, mentoring and advising students and overseeing summer research, for his supportive leadership both in and out of the classroom, and for his dedication to the intellectual development, emotional well-being, and all-around success of each student. For his years of service as a clinic director, developing relationships with industry professionals and recruiting projects to provide challenging and rewarding experiences for our students. For his work championing the Tutoring program, training and equipping student staff to provide grading and tutoring support for computer science students. For his extraordinary contributions to curricular design and computer science, co-developing the college's groundbreaking CS5 course, serving as principal investigator and co-PI on a number of projects funded by the National Science Foundation, as well as improving curricular design in computer science at the national level. For his work to improve K-12 computer science education, co-founding the MyCS Middle Years Computer Science Program, providing an extraordinary computer science curriculum to students in school districts that serve populations that are underrepresented in CS. For his many contributions to entrepreneurship at the college, including his leadership of the Summer Startup Program, providing coaching to students developing entrepreneurial endeavors, Zachary Dodds, Leonard Johnson Ray Professor Computer Science, is hereby designated as the 2024 recipient of the Henry T. Mudd Prize. Zach, please come to the podium.
Wow. Thank you so much, President Nemhard. I'm I'm feeling really awkward because I don't have any slides next to me. I think this is amazing. I just want to say I'm thrilled that this moment is shared with you, seniors, now graduates of the class of 2024. Memory fades, at least memory of some things, but you know, the 4 years that you shared with me, that you shared with us, that you shared here, those are unforgettable. So congratulations, class of 2024.
I'm delighted to now welcome today's commencement speaker, Grant Sanderson. Grant is a mathematician, educator, and wildly popular YouTuber. He is the creator of 3 Blue, 1 Brown, a YouTube channel about mathematics with over 6 million subscribers. In his videos, he uses animation to help viewers visualize and understand complex math and physics concepts that might otherwise seem too difficult or out of reach. To create many of his mathematical animations, Grant wrote the open source Python library Manum, which has since been used by thousands of others to make their own online lessons. Grant studied math and computer science at Stanford, and after graduating in 2015, he joined the content team for Khan Academy, where he helped create a curriculum for multivariable calculus. In 2017, his work on 3 Blue, 1 Brown became a full-time pursuit. He collaborated with the Julia Lab at MIT to create an open source on computational thinking and has contributed to several other organizations focused on education and popularizing mathematics, including Udacity, Quanta, and other YouTube channels. Last year, Grant gave the math department's Michael E. Moody Lecture on Where Math and Physics Collide. He explored unexpected connections between kinematics, optics, and quantum computing. Our students loved his talk, and the senior class voted overwhelmingly to ask him back as commencement speaker. Grant has said that he seeks to educate and inspire the world with beauty and the power of mathematics. He certainly has inspired many of us here at Harvey Mudd. Please join me in welcoming Grant Sanderson.
Thank you, President Nembhard, for that very warm introduction and for inviting me. And thank you to the class of 2024 for including me in such a special day. I had the joy of getting to know many of you last year on this visit, and I distinctly remember coming away with the feeling that a future in your hands is a bright future indeed. For those in the audience who don't know who I am, I focus on making videos about mathematics with an emphasis on visualizations. It's a weird job. I do love it, though, and it's no exaggeration to describe it as a dream job. And a common cliche is for someone who was lucky enough to land in a dream job to stand confidently in front of a group of fledgling graduates and to compel them to follow their dreams. Frankly, on its own, I don't think this is very good advice. To be clear, there is truth behind the cliche. It is true that those who make the biggest ripples are the ones who are fueled by passion. It is true that the life that you live is much more enjoyable if you can find something doing what you love. And it's also true that you shouldn't feel shackled by societal constraints. But for one thing, not everyone has a pre-baked dream sitting there waiting to be followed. That's completely okay. And even if you are one of the lucky ones who has a passion that you want to roll into a career, I think there are a few pragmatic concerns that don't always fit very neatly into an inspirational speech that are required to make this actually work. Now, I know I'm talking to a very nerdy audience, so I'm tempted to describe my aims here a little bit more mathematically precisely, where in the vector space of all possible advice, if you consider the follow your dreams vector, I want to explore its orthogonal subspace. Maybe, though, it's better if I just start with a story. Before I entered college, I was one of those who knew what I wanted to major in. There's no surprises here, it was math. This was a topic that I had loved for a long time, as long as I can remember. When I was in college, I was plenty seduced by the adjacent field of computer science and programming, and I would spend my summers interning at software startups. But I distinctly remember coming back at the end of each of those summers and thinking, man, you know what I really want to do with my life is spend more time doing math. So I had a passion, I had something I would want to follow. But in hindsight, that passion was a lot more arbitrary and maybe a little more self-centered than I would have liked to admit at the time. Why did I love math? You know, if I'm honest, I think it had its roots in the fact that when I was young, the adults emphasized this is an important topic to learn, and they told me I was good at it. This makes me spend more time with it. Spending time with something is how you get better at something, and that kicks off a positive feedback loop, in both senses of the word positive feedback. Now, as time went on, I do believe it became less about perceptions. When I was in college, I remember genuinely enjoying the aesthetic delights that beautiful math problem solving has to have. But thinking of it as a career ambition, not just a hobby, this had the fatal flaw that I was viewing the world through a lens of what I personally enjoyed, not giving enough weight to a plan for how exactly it would add value to others. I don't know if you felt it yet, but today marks a day in your life when a fundamental goal changes. When you're a student, the fundamental goal is to grow, to learn, to become better. So many institutions and structures around you are there to support you in growing and learning and getting better, and to reward you for doing so. In life after college, the goal changes a little, and success hinges on how effectively you're able to add value to others. Now, these aren't at odds with each other. In fact, they go hand in hand. You're much better positioned to make a difference if you're armed with an expertise and if you spend your life honing that expertise. But there is a big difference between a personal growth being the end in and of itself versus being a means to an end. By way of comparison, I also loved the violin when I was growing up. And let's take a moment to imagine two distinct music students. I'm going to name them Paganini and Taylor. Both of them are talented, very talented, but Paganini pushes for technical excellence. He tries to perfect virtuosically challenging pieces. Taylor strives to write music that speaks to people, that resonates with them emotionally. Now, in a music school, Paganini is going to get the better grades every time. He's always going to get the better position. But pursuing music careers, Taylor's at the clear advantage. My first piece of advice, something I would have told myself I could go back in time and be in the seat where you are now, is that if you have a passion that you want to incorporate into a career, take a step back and recognize the fact that this is a passion that grew in a time of your life when the goal was to learn and to grow. But you're transitioning to a period in your life when the primary aim shifts to adding value to others. The cliche to follow your dreams overlooks how critical it is that the dreams you have are about something more than just yourself. Those who excel in their first jobs are the ones who make life easier for everyone around them, even when it involves doing things they don't love. Those who excel in PhD programs are the ones who recognize how their work fits into a broader research community, not just the ones who view it as the next chapter in school. The successful entrepreneurs are the ones who have a relentless focus on making sure that what they have to sell is what people want to buy, not just those who are looking to make something impressive. Now, for some people, when you hear the words follow your dreams, it falls flat because you don't have a defining passion. Like I said earlier, that's completely okay. If anything, it might put you at an advantage. I think you'll do just as well if you start by seeking out opportunities where the skills that you've developed here intersect with adding values to others, and from there, I promise the passion will follow. One of the best pieces of advice I remember receiving from a friend many years ago is that action precedes motivation. This is often useful on a much smaller scale. We feel most awake after getting out of bed, not before. A drive to exercise comes from the habit of exercising. It doesn't go the other way around. But I think the idea that action precedes motivation applies to this bigger question of finding a career doing what you love. These days, I do love making videos, and I really do love teaching. But when I was finishing college, I had no penchant or experience with videos at all. And my interest in teaching was honestly only insofar as it scratched this itch to do more math. It was only by stumbling into a wacky career where I was doing both of them that I came to love them. Now, in my own story, what happened after college involves a fair bit of luck, but luck can come in a lot of different forms. And I think with a little bit of foresight, you can actually avoid having to rely on chance in quite the same way. There's a post I like on the webcomic XKCD that shows a man standing on a stage, and he has bags of cash surrounding him. "Never stop buying lottery tickets," he says. "No matter what people tell you, I failed again and again, but I never gave up. And here I am as proof that if you put in the time, it pays off." The caption notes that every inspirational speech should come with a disclaimer about survivorship bias. The obvious way that follow your dreams is susceptible to survivorship bias is that for all of the high-risk, high-reward paths, things like professional athletics, starting a social media company, making a career in the arts, it's only the few who rise to the top who are in a position to give advice at all. But there's also a more subtle way that survivorship bias applies here. It's not just about the odds of winning a particular game. There's another form that has to do with whether the game you choose to play meshes well with the way that the future unfolds. If you were a software enthusiast in the late 1980s, you would be well poised to ride the dot-com boom in the decade that followed. If you were someone with a niche interest and a knack for film production, you would find yourself with an unexpected opportunity when YouTube and other film-sharing platforms started to rise in prominence. When I was finishing my undergrad, one of these ways that I scratched that itch to do more math was to hack together a very rudimentary Python library for making math visualizations, and I used it to make a couple videos about neat proofs and problems that I enjoyed and posting them online. I was not planning for this to be a career. I had an appreciation for how valuable personal projects are, but it didn't go much beyond that. This led to conversations with Khan Academy, a group I had great respect for, and it turned into a job there, making more lessons online. In the meantime, I continued my own channel as a side hobby, and it didn't blow up, but there was a very modest growth of others who enjoyed the same kind of visualizations that I did, and I saw it in just a steady tick up in the audience size. Now, my original plan, I think, was to spend a year or two doing this online education stuff, working at Khan Academy, and maybe returning to do a PhD. But as time went on, something between the gratitude that I saw from many students around the planet for the lessons I'd put out, and the slow and steady growth on my own channel led me to doubling down and forming a somewhat unorthodox career in online lessons and math visualization. Now, looking back, it would feel very incomplete if I were to somehow ascribe the success that I found, to the extent there was any, to the fact that I was following a dream, pursuing a passion. Passion plays into it. You can't have good lessons without a teacher who cares, but we can't ignore the other factors at play. I already brought up the biggest one. Success is a function of the value you bring to others. So a pursuit equally fueled by love, but which did nothing to help or to entertain people, just wouldn't have had a chance to work. But another factor I want to focus on is how I was very lucky with the timing. If I had been born 10 years earlier, I don't think I could have reached the same number of people posting lessons on a much more infant version of the internet, where there was less infrastructure that could have existed to help form a career doing so. If I had started 10 years later, the space would have been a lot more saturated. So another piece of advice that I'd like to offer, another little ingredient that makes following your dreams a little more likely to work out, is to ask yourself, what's possible now that wasn't possible 10 years ago, and which might get harder 10 years from now? There are more opportunities in a less crowded landscape. There are more chances to grow if you're part of a rising tide. But this requires pushing past the inevitable discomfort that comes from following a path that has little to no precedent. Now, next, I want to take a moment to talk about whose dreams you should be thinking about, because it's not just your own. When I was visiting Harvey Mudd last year, I had the pleasure of talking to one of the gems in your math department, Talithia Williams, and I asked her, hey, what made you pursue math in the first place? She had a very clear story. She told me she hadn't thought about it very much until one distinct day in her high school calculus class, her teacher, Mr. Dorman, pulled her aside and said, Talithia, you're really good at this. You should consider majoring in math. Evidently, she had never thought about it before, but that one comment was enough to knock over the first in a series of dominoes that led to a very flourishing career in the topic. Over the years, I've asked a lot of mathematicians the same question, and you would be shocked how often I hear a very similar answer. There was this one particular teacher, and one seemingly simple thing that they did that was the beginning in a long series of encouragements. Never underestimate just how much influence you can have on others, especially the ones who are younger than you are. Growing older is a process of slowly seeing the proportion of people around you who are younger than you are rise inexorably closer to 100%. As this happens, you stand to have as much influence by shaping the dreams of those behind you as you do by following those of your own. And as a very last point, the biggest risk in the follow your dreams cliche is the implication that there's one static target point at all. In the next 10, 20, 30 years, the world around you is going to change a lot, and those changes are going to be unpredictable. I hardly need to emphasize this point. You are the class who spent your formative transition from high school to college under a pandemic. But it's not just the world around you. Tonight, when you're celebrating your graduation, and hopefully remembering to celebrate Mother's Day as well, Take a few moments to ask the people who are older than you how they've changed, how their personalities, how their value systems have changed since they were a student. You'll notice that essentially all of them has an answer, which suggests you have every reason to expect that there's going to be something fundamental about you that changes as well in the coming decades, probably unpredictably. Almost everyone I know has undergone some kind of shift since college. Some came to place more value on having a family than they used to. Some shifted from a trajectory that was oriented towards an academic career to going into industry. Some went the other way around, and after spending some time in industry, returned to grad school. And so many of them have jobs that simply didn't exist at the time of their graduation. So rather than having any one particular goal that defines who you are, you'll take better advantage of whatever the future has to offer you if you remain nimble, and if you're responsive to the changes in the world, and if you anticipate change within yourself. My final piece of advice is to not treat passion as something to follow. Think of it as an initial velocity vector. It gives a clear direction to point yourself, and loving what you do can have you move quickly. But you should expect, and you should even hope, that the specific direction that you're moving changes based on the force vectors around you. Now, in these unpredictable decades that come, your generation is the one that holds more sway than any other over how it unfolds. And you, the graduating class of Harvey Mudd, represent some of the most talented and thoughtful minds in that generation. Influence is not distributed uniformly in the population, and I, for one, would feel a lot more comfortable if it was you who were at the helm, guiding this crazy ship that we're all riding. If you step into the next chapter of life with an implacable focus on adding values to others, you're more likely to be the ones at the helm. If you recognize that action precedes motivation, you're more likely to be at the helm. And if you ask, what's possible now that wasn't 10 years ago, you're more likely to be at the helm. If you appreciate just how much power you have to shape the lives of the generation that follows you, you're more likely to be at the helm. And if you remain adaptable to a changing world, treating passion not as a destination, but as a fuel, following not dreams, but opportunities, you're more likely to be at the helm. One final time, would everyone please join me in congratulating the class of 2024 on what they've done to get here, and make some noise to let them know how excited we are to see where they go from here.
Thank you, Grant. We deeply appreciate your willingness to be here and your work to improve math, science communication, create better informed citizens. I have always said we want students to be good at STEM and good at life, and your remarks certainly do speak to that as well. The graduates we honor here today have achieved a new status at the college, that of HMC alumni. Here to welcome you to that amazing group is Kathy French of the class of 1997, president of the Alumni Association.
Good afternoon, and congratulations. On behalf of the other almost 8,000 living alumni of Harvey Mudd College, welcome to our ranks. Around 4.5 years ago, each of you had a strong enough, focused passion for your interest in STEM and the arts to have success enough to become admitted to Harvey Mudd, what is now your alma mater. For the last several years, you've continued to focus that passion to complete a very challenging education. However, this phase is now over, and you're leaving the Mudd bubble. There will now be a lot more demands on your time and attention, no matter what path you take. But try to remember the happiness, the inner calm, the joy you find in your individual passions. But passions are much more deep and complex than the happiness they bring. Our word passion comes from the Latin passeo, one definition which is to endure. For each of you and the other nearly 8,000 of us, Harvey Mudd was a test of endurance to really learn and comprehend. Along that way of the challenging journey, we were each helped by our classmates, upperclassmen, and the faculty who challenged us, facilitating the intellectual growth. And if you shared a passion outside of thermo, quantum, broken loops, there were others from the Mudd family to share and help cultivate those external passions. As you venture out, hold on to those passions, letting them deepen or mutate, as some days partaking in that external activity may be the only bright spot in what may otherwise be a really bad day. But just as you relied upon the broader Mudd family to navigate to today's celebration, that Mudd family will always be here to help you continue deepen your passion. You just have to ask. Even as alumni, the observation made by Claudia yesterday will continue to hold true. The willingness to help one another is a value that all Mudd alumni uphold with great intent. We as the Alumni Association and the incredible staff that support us work to learn, enjoy, and expand each other's passions through brief but impactful events like Discord virtual gaming night, whale watching, homemade bread making. Your passions are part of what make you unique, and the history across the over 60 years of alumni that you're now a part of, sharing their passions with each other is part of what makes our alumni body so connected, or in Ariana's words, our vast sense of togetherness. But it takes all of us giving back to grow and enrich our alma mater, to continue to make Harvey Mudd the vibrant community we can come home to. So as you venture out into your new challenges, cultivate those productive passions. Continue to share them with your classmates, other alumni, faculty, and staff, and let this incredible support system you've relied upon for the last several years continue to support and encourage you as you endure to become a master of your passionate pursuits. So, on behalf of the Harvey Mudd College alumni from the last 66 years, we look forward to seeing you at future HMC events, now as one of us, and we can't wait to see, hear, or help out on your journey with your passions to take your degrees, skills, and talents forward. Congrats.
Sachi Patel was born and raised in New York City and majored in engineering with a concentration in justice. She's been involved with Nobody Fails at Mudd since her sophomore year. In her free time, she enjoys going to the beach with friends and exploring all the beautiful spots around campus and in the greater Inland Empire. Please join me in welcoming Sachi to the stage.
Thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon to President Nemhard, deans, faculty, staff, family, loved ones, and my fellow class of 2024. Happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers and nurturing figures in our lives. I know I don't just speak for myself when I say this. I'm no one without my mother, and I credit all of my success to the efforts and sacrifices she has made for me. She has taught me courage, kindness, humor, and confidence, and I'm eternally grateful to have had her as my best friend throughout college, and now I have the privilege of spending this special day with her. When I started at Harvey Mudd, I was under the impression that all 4 years would be pass-fail, not just the first semester, and that our college was only a 30-minute drive from the beach. It was evident that I didn't know much about Mudd or the map of California. Once I arrived on campus during my sophomore year, I started to get a feel of the defining characteristics of Mudd. We are an unusually small school with a specific set of majors. We hold some of the strongest commitments to a work hard, play hard lifestyle. We are uniquely well-trained in our fields of study. We jump at the opportunity to stand in long lines for free food, especially boba. We make our own fires. We make up our own drinking games. And last but certainly not least, we are thought to exist in our own mud bubble. While most of the time I like to reject the stereotype of the mud bubble, on my hardest days at the college, I felt the bubble closing in around me. During those times, I was reminded of a question that Professor Gompa posed to their students on the first day of all of their classes. Who are your people? The first time I took one of their classes, I answered with my family and friends from back home. 2 years later, as I'm finishing my college experience in another one of their classes, my answer to that question has drastically changed. Throughout college, I've built many relationships grounded in radical love. These are the people I hold myself accountable to as we hold a shared commitment to each other's happiness. I credit these relationships to the intimate community we have at Mudd, which has allowed me to find my people. During my first year on campus, I joined our mutual aid group, now called Nobody Fails at Mudd, where we have the common goal of being in solidarity with our peers and supporting each other through financial assistance. The larger goal is to build sustained care that operates outside of the academic institution. Through this experience, I've grown close to members of Nobody Fails as we work towards a reimagination of college that leaves no Mudder behind. This year in particular, I found more of my people despite it being my last year at school. Through joining the 5C Student and Worker Alliance, I found a community of organizers who are committed to labor justice on our campuses and in the Inland Empire, as well as all tide struggles. I'm constantly learning and growing with them and could not thank them enough for helping guide my organizing journey. In addition to the close friendships I've made at Mudd, all of these relationships are filled with love that centers on respect, care, responsibility, trust, honesty, and knowledge. With every individual I've met along the way, I've learned what it means to delve into the definition of love as a practice rather than just an emotion. I know that my classmates have had comparable experiences in the clubs, organizations, and dorms they've joined, and with the people they have met. I center these experiences as I reflect on the past 4 years and find that it sits in opposition to how I've grown as a learner. At Mudd, we are pushed to strive for excellence, to excel at as many lectures, exams, labs, and projects as we can, and to apply to the most selective and sought-after companies for internships and jobs. Our extractive relations with learning and knowledge can sometimes be the reason we are unable to sustain our energy and face exhaustion at the end of a long week. But then I find my happiness in the people that I'm accountable to at the college, and I can take a big breath of relief. As I battle with this back and forth between who I've become as a learner and who I am as a community member, I look to the teachings of feminists Audre Lorde and Sarah Ahmed. Lorde teaches us how quickly the freedom to be happy is translated into the freedom to look away from what compromises your happiness. She tells us, don't look over it, don't get over it. After today, I do not know the next time I will be a student in academia for the first time in 17 years. I no longer want to ignore what compromises my happiness and the happiness of others. Pointing out your disagreements and your resistance to the status quo may leave you alienated and without a seat at the table. But when you are unseated, you threaten those who are seated and those who want to keep their seat. Your willfulness to stand against is often the best hope we have. Mudders have the privilege of having the tools to think critically and engage in meaningful change. If you wish the world to be different, you can commit yourself to that struggle. And a crucial first step is finding your people and radical love. Our majors applications do not stop at the product of a chemical reaction, a published research paper, or a final manufactured prototype. We can find other communities that intersect with our love for science and change the structures that confine our movement in the world to a bubble. This speech would be incomplete without thanking several important people who have shaped all of our experiences. First, I want to thank the dining hall staff who worked tirelessly to provide us with delicious meals and sustenance so we can study hard. Thank you to the dorm attendants who worked to make our dorms function properly. Thank you to facilities and maintenance and the mailroom employees. Thank you. Thank you to everyone involved in setting up the graduation events this weekend. The heartbeat of Harvey Mudd is sustained by the dedication of our staff. Their tireless efforts fuel our community, and we can never truly repay them for the invaluable support they provide us with every single day. Thank you to my big sister and dad for always giving me the best advice and being my biggest supporters. Thank you to my advisors, professors, and classmates I've ever worked on a project with. And to my cherished friends at Mudd, you are the compass that guides my journey. Meeting you has been a blessing beyond measure. Together, we have all woven a tapestry of shared experiences, and I feel fortunate to have walked this path alongside each of you. 4 years ago, many of us graduated months into a global pandemic that has taken over 1 million lives in the US. 4 years later, we graduate 7 months and 5 days into an ongoing genocide carried out by the Israeli state against Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. These atrocities are intrinsically tied. As the US state fails to fund necessary resources such as healthcare, housing, food access, and education, they continue to fund their trillions of dollars in the military budget and send billions of dollars in weapons to Israel. This graduation, degree, diploma, celebration, it can only mean so much to me today. Today, I think of the over 40,000 Palestinian martyrs, 11,500 of which are children. I think of the 1.7 million Palestinians displaced to Rafah who have faced carpet bombing throughout the night for the past week. I think of the fact that there are no universities left in Gaza. Unlike us, an entire generation of learners and radical thinkers are unable to graduate this year. All of this because of the US-made bombs raining down in Gaza. Today, I think of the student-led global uprisings and resistance that have been demanding colleges divest from apartheid and occupation and cut ties with war profiteering companies, which is why I stand in unequivocal support of the Mudders Against Murder campaign that demands Harvey Mudd College cut ties with weapons manufacturing and defense companies and their corporate relationships and end their complicity in genocide. I think of the over 500 students arrested in my hometown for participating in encampments, and I think of 21 of my comrades who were arrested for a peaceful sit-in at Alexander Hall on April 5th. I look at the Palestinians on the ground living under siege. Despite 75 years of brutal occupation, they tell us to keep fighting. As we leave college, our fight is not over. In fact, it has only begun. I hold these facts close to my heart today and will resist tomorrow and forever, because to not is an injustice to the countless civilians who have lost their lives due to imperialism in the global South. May the souls of the martyrs be lifted from the rubble. We will see a free Palestine, and that too within our lifetime. Thank you.
Harvey Mudd College's annual commencement ceremony is now concluded. We ask that you remain seated for the recessional, and we invite you to join us back on campus for a reception honoring our graduates. Please join me in congratulating the Harvey Mudd College class of 2024.